I would like to welcome you to my channel, That Middle-Aged Lady. My name is Denise, and in today's video, I wanted to talk about a few different things that can happen to our eyes as we begin to age, such as a condition known as presbyopia, eye floaters, dry eyes, cataracts, glaucoma, and also age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. And so the first indication for me that something maybe wasn't quite right with my eyes would have been right around the age of 40, when I had gone to the pharmacy to pick up some medication for my son who was sick at the time, and I turned the box over to read the back of it just to make sure I was getting the right kind. And that is when I realized that the print looked a lot smaller than what I was used to, and I was having a difficult time reading it. My first thought was that maybe the company was just doing that to try and save money on the size of the font, which I now realize is ridiculous, although I wouldn't put that past a lot of companies nowadays to do something like that. But then as time went on, I was having a difficult time reading other print as well, and that is when I realized that it wasn't the print that was the problem, but rather it was my eyes. I ended up making an appointment with the eye doctor where he put some drops in my eyes to help dilate them, which I can honestly say I hated because it felt like my eye pupils were never going to go back down to their normal size again. And then after doing a thorough eye exam, said everything looked okay, but diagnosed me with a condition that is referred to as presbyopia, which happens when the lens of the eyes become harder, thicker, and less flexible, therefore making it more difficult to see objects that are up close and also to read print as well. It is a very common condition that happens to us as we begin to age, with approximately 80% of people having this condition by the time they're in their late 40s. And I have composed a chart that just basically shows what we can expect with this condition as we do begin to age. Chart of declining eyesight due to presbyopia. Late 30s, small changes begin to happen gradually over time. Early to mid-40s, changes become more noticeable, hard time reading print from a book, a menu at a restaurant, etc., making reading glasses sometimes necessary. Into 50s, progression continues, which can require stronger reading glasses. Around 65, the hardening process typically stabilizes, while stopping this condition from getting any worse, with approximately 100% of people having some degree of presbyopia by this time. The main treatment for this condition is to basically go out and get yourself a pair of reading glasses, which is just basically different degrees of a magnifying lens. And I have also composed a chart that shows basically just a suggestion of what the different degree of reading glasses are that we might need at any given point as we do begin to age. Reading eyeglass suggestion chart. Ages 40 to 49 plus 0.75 to plus 1.50 diopters. Ages 50 to 59 plus 1.50 to plus 2.25 diopters. Ages 60 and up plus 2.25 to plus 3.00 diopters. Just a side note, the plus in front of a number such as plus 1.25 indicates that the glasses are meant to be used for farsightedness, meaning you have a difficult time seeing objects up close, whereas the negative in front of a number such as negative 1.25 indicates that the glasses are meant to be used for nearsightedness, meaning you can't see objects far away. I always found that terribly confusing, since I feel like nearsightedness should mean you can't see objects up close, and farsightedness should mean you can't see objects far away. But obviously, it's the complete opposite, which I just find terribly confusing. In my particular case, I just went and got myself a generic pair of reading glasses over the counter. You can get them pretty much anywhere, including at the dollar store, and they usually start anywhere from $5 on up. You can also go to the eye doctor and get a prescription strength reading glasses as well that would be tailor-made to your exact farsightedness, so you get the exact number that you would need for your particular situation. I never wanted to do that, mainly because I am chronically losing my eyeglasses, putting them down, forgetting where I put them, so I would just hate to spend a lot of money on a pair and then not be able to find them. I also try and keep around a couple pairs of blue light reading glasses as well, which basically means they have a tint or a film on them that can help with the blue violet light glare from many of our devices like our cell phones, computers, and tablets, in order to prevent headaches and to also help with eye strain, although it's also important to take a break from our devices, especially as it gets towards bedtime as well, which I definitely try and do myself. Another eye condition that we might see as we begin to get older is something that is medically referred to as myodysopsia, but more commonly referred to as eye floaters. This happens when tiny clumps of protein or collagen form in the eye's vitreous gel, which is a jelly-like substance that not only helps to keep the shape of our eye, but also to provide a clear space for light to pass through to reach the retina, therefore casting a shadow on the retina that we see as squiggly lines like this. They can become more noticeable when looking up at something like a blue sky or a white piece of paper, but if you blink a couple times, a lot of times you can then move them out of your sight of vision. And although they're nothing to be concerned about, it's probably a good idea to at least have them diagnosed by a professional just to make sure that they're not being caused from something else. Although most people will begin to see some form of floaters by the time they reach their 40s or 50s, they will become more prominent as we begin to age due to a change in the vitreous gel. And although there really isn't any need for treatment, you can, if they're becoming too bothersome, go in to have them lasered where they can break up those squiggly lines and then sometimes remove them altogether. In my case, I started to see those little squiggly lines before my eyes right around the age of 50, and although I did do some research on it and figured that it was probably eye floaters, I went ahead and made an appointment with the eye doctor anyway, even though I hate having those eye exams done, just to make sure. And he confirmed that yes, he suspected that they were in fact eye floaters, where he then had me watch a 15-minute video and then sent me on my way. And so now, because the main time I see them is if I'm outside and looking up towards the sky, I'll just go ahead and look in a different direction, blink a few times, and then most of the time they go away. And so at this point in my life, they're not troublesome enough for me to do anything about them. And if, say, down the road they do get worse, then I figure I'll just cross that bridge when I get to it. The next eye condition that we may experience as we begin to age, although this can really happen at any time, is dry eyes. But the reason that we tend to experience it more as we begin to age is because our eyes are then producing lower quality tears, although that doesn't mean that they don't hurt just as much emotionally. That can then lead to burning, stinging, discomfort, and also blurry vision. Approximately 75% of people 65 and older will experience dry eyes, while it is more commonly found in women than in men due to hormonal changes such as menopause. It is important to note that being on our devices, such as our cell phones, computers, and tablets, can make this condition worse. And so it's probably a good idea to have a pair of those blue light reading glasses, or even blue light glasses in general if you have prescription glasses. And then, as we tell our children and grandchildren to take a break when needed so that we're not on those devices for too long, there are also several different over-the-counter drops that help with dry eyes. And then if they become too bothersome, you can always go in to see your eye doctor as well, as they have prescription strength dry eye drops. And then there's also different surgeries they can do if, like, say, a blocked tear duct is causing that condition. For me, because I am on my phone and my computer a lot, I do suffer with this condition, but in my case, it's more like red eyes or bloodshot eyes than it is like burning or stinging. And so what I do is when I wake up in the morning, I just go ahead and put some eye drops in. And then if I'm on my phone or computer all throughout the day, I'll go ahead and put some drops in midday as well. And then usually before I go to bed, and that definitely seems to help. The next thing that can happen with our eyes as we begin to age, although this can also happen at any time, is cataracts. And cataracts occurs when protein in our eyes begin to clump together, making it look like we're looking through a foggy lens. And I also have comprised a chart of exactly what the progression of cataracts looks like as we begin to age as well. Chart of cataract progression. Ages 40 to 50, early signs of lens changes may begin. Symptoms may include need for reading glasses, change of eyeglass prescription, or decreased vision in dim light settings. Ages 50 to 60, vision changes become more noticeable, often getting worse in the overall quality of vision. Ages 60 plus, symptoms are common in this age group and often require monitoring or surgical treatment. Symptoms often worsen and include blurring and clouding of vision, glare around lights, difficulty seeing in dim lighting, and trouble driving at night. Under 40, rare but possible due to tobacco use, family history, trauma, medical conditions such as diabetes, or certain medications such as steroids. Some of the things that we can do to help prevent and or delay the onset of cataracts is to wear UV blocking sunglasses, to eat antioxidant-rich foods that help to reduce oxidative stress that can lead to cell damage and cloud the lens, to quit smoking or never smoke to begin with, to limit alcohol intake, and then to treat any medical conditions such as diabetes. The main treatment for cataracts when they become bothersome is surgery, which, just an interesting side note, is the safest and most common surgery performed in the world, with approximately 3 million surgeries performed annually in the United States alone. And it is done by putting some numbing drops in the eye to help with any discomfort, where the old, natural, cloudy lens will be removed and replaced with a clear artificial lens instead. Although I have not had any experience with cataracts thus far in my life, I will be turning 60 soon, and so this is definitely something that I'll stay on top of just in case I do notice anything going on with my eyes that doesn't seem right or get any kind of cloudiness before it, as it's definitely something I'd rather treat sooner than later. The next condition that we may begin to experience with our eyes as we age is glaucoma, which is basically an umbrella term for any eye disease that builds up pressure in the eye and damages the optic nerve, which is responsible for transmitting electrical signals from the retina to the brain that allows us to see, process images, and manage certain reflexes within the eye. It can happen at any age, but affects approximately 5 out of 50 people 75 years or older, and is one of the leading causes of blindness in people 60 years or older. Because early stage glaucoma doesn't cause any symptoms, half the people that have it don't even realize they have it, which is why it is sometimes referred to the silent thief of sight. The main two types of glaucoma are open-angle glaucoma and closed-angle glaucoma, although there are several other variations within these two types. In order to be properly diagnosed with this condition, you will need to have a thorough eye exam done, where the eye doctor will most likely perform 5 different tests to include testing the eye pressure, looking at the optic nerve, testing the field of vision, looking at the thickness of the cornea, and examining the angle of the eye, all of which should be painless. Once diagnosed with glaucoma, there are a few different treatment options available, including prescription eye drops that can help lower the pressure in the eye, and laser surgery as well. And lastly, age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD, which is an eye condition that affects the central vision, making it difficult for people to see objects directly in front of them, although the peripheral vision should still be intact. There are 2 different types of AMD, including dry AMD, which is the most common form. It is caused by small yellow deposits called drusen, which form under the retina while accumulating waste products that tend to grow in size. This then causes the retina cells in the macula, which is the center of the retina that is responsible for sharp, detailed images, color recognition, and face recognition, to thin, causing vision to become blurred. Dry AMD tends to happen slowly and gradually over time. The other AMD is wet AMD, which is a lot less common. It is the more severe form of AMD and can often lead to complete loss of central vision. Unfortunately, there is no cure for AMD, although sometimes it can be controlled with certain medications. So that pretty much sums up the more common conditions that we may experience with our eyes as we begin to age. As Mark Twain once said, age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, then it doesn't matter. And that's kind of how I feel. Obviously, since the moment we were born, we all started to age. That's something that we all have in common. And so I would rather do my best to enjoy the journey along the way rather than to fight it, and just to appreciate every day I have, since we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And so if you have any questions or comments, I hope that you'll feel free to leave them. I'm always happy to answer anything that I can. And other than that, I just want to thank you again so much for joining me today.